Walter Schultz for approval of subdivision of land located at 9374 North Road, Bridgeport, New York, SLB being 3-1-2.916. The applicant proposes to subdivide said area into 2 lots. Lot number 1 is 2 acres and lot number 2 is 12 acres. The hearing will be held on October 4th, 2020, at the Town Office Building 7507, Lakeport Road, Chittenden, New York, at 6:45 p.m., at which time all interested persons will be given an opportunity to be heard. A copy of the plat of said subdivision has been filed with the town clerk and is available for public inspection prior to the public hearing. This and all meetings held by Town of Sullivan are open to the public.
Okay, this is a 2-lot subdivision down on North Road. The secretary will note that Mr. Schultz, the owner, is present. It's to separate a piece of property into 2 so that he can develop one of them. If anyone's here to speak to that, just make your comments to the board. I was going to ask Nick. Dutch is here to represent himself. He can speak on his behalf, or you can say nothing. And we'll hold this for about 15 minutes. I do apologize that you folks had to listen to our dirty laundry before the meeting, but this tends to be a trendy thing you see
It's
these
the
days.
email I sent to his attorney. It said he's not on the agenda, if you recall. So they were made aware that he wasn't on the agenda by me, plus I'm certain Jerry was in contact with, but I can't speak for
I
Jerry.
can't speak to it either because I didn't talk to her today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just want to be clear that what I was saying was factual.
Oh, I agree. No, I knew that.
They're saying that this is a 2-lot subdivision, but we've got 13 lots here.
This map doesn't go with that.
This is Schultz subdivision.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
We've got 2 of them.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's, which ones have you got? I don't know, I'm not sure, we got 5
That's
papers.
13 lots.
Okay, this one,
2 of them.
This one, no, this is I'm gonna deal with that with Mr. Dreckenberg, he's here. But this is the 13 lot on the other side. It's got, one's on one side of the road, one's on the other side of the road. This is a 2-lot on the east side of North Road. We'll deal with the other one as soon as we get the regular meeting and dispense with it.
Hey, Frank?
Yes.
Which is the open meeting for?
I'm sorry?
Which is the open meeting for, 2 lots or the,
That's for the 2-lot subdivision,
okay,
that's all.
so you want public comment on that?
Pardon?
You want public comment on that?
You can comment on if you wish.
Okay, you want to know if you're for or against it, I'm for it, really, the, folks that, are doing the project, for separating those 2 lots, have done everything, you know, according to, plan, and everything they have done around there has been #1 as far as quality, workmanship, and respect for the neighbors. That's it.
Okay. Well, you have a building permit on that second lot already?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
What the situation was where they were 2 lots at one point, like 3 years ago. We wanted to build a barn, and we couldn't build the barn on an empty 10 acres, so we had to divide them. Well, now we got the house up for sale, possible sale was going through, but, we had to prove we were going to build a house in the barn, which it's in
Correct.
process, and I have the plans. And I think I submitted them already. Plans to.
The building plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've all been, he's got a permit.
Right. We're just digging out the subdivision plans. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm just putting them back to what they were. I'm not changing them at all. I'm just going back to the same way.
Right. And we got around the accessory building by having plans in to renovate that into a residence.
Correct.
Yeah. You can put that one over on the corner.
No. It's so much easier for us. In my mind.
Yeah, you're right.
I think something comes out in a different form. Solution, and it becomes very costly for him to try and remedy the problem, and so.
But John, we're good with this, we did do the seeker.
That one had a secret, yeah.
We did that seeker letter.
Yeah. I'm sending an email again to his lawyer, Frank, and I'm reminding him everything that we'd already talked about, not that I should, because it's all in these emails, so I'm just trying to let him know that we had a bit of a blow up here.
Something, and then if they can work, he can start working on something, and then you have a 2/3 of it, or a third of it completed, and what?
I'll remind everybody, we are on air. When you see that red light up there, you're on the Candid camera. Alan Funt's not out here, I don't think.
You're the only one here who knows who Alan Funk is.
I know Alan.
That's probably true.
Smile.
That's probably true. Here, this is which one's there. This is which
Oh,
one's.
yeah.
This is which
Yeah.
one's.
Okay.
Right. Let's try this.
I got more.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Dave. Sherry. I didn't say good evening, but I will. Both of you.
What am I missing here? It's supposed to be a 2-lot subdivision, I don't see 1 lot.
Well,
Where's the other one?
well, the
Annexation?
second lots is what's remaining.
What do you mean, up here?
The short side, okay.
The right-hand corner?
Remember, this was where he went.
Right,
Upper right-hand
Correct.
corner.
Yeah,
correct.
okay. And how many acres was that? That was quite a few acres, wasn't it?
It's cut off.
Dutch, the question here is, how much is the 2 lots combined, or how much acre?
12 acres.
So it's gonna be about 10 and then.
So you're keeping 10 with your residence,
I'm keeping 10 with the barn.
over the barn.
I'm selling the corner lot of 2 acres. It's pretty much a square lot.
Right.
Right.
It's cut.
Right back to the way it was 2 years ago. I'm not making any changes to the lines.
We've got the house.
Yeah, this is the.
Selling that.
This is the other parts.
Yeah, but there's a building on that other lot, we don't even see it.
Barn is.
Dutch, come on up here.
There's a barn somewhere.
Oh, it's got probably
Up at 10. Up 10 this side, right?
Well, I think it went down. This is
We got this in front of us, but that's your house, right?
You're selling
Yeah.
that?
And what you're selling is up,
That's what we're selling.
Selling the house.
We're selling a 2 acre with the house on it.
Okay.
okay, and you're keeping,
We're keep-
keeping the
We're
barn.
keeping the barn and the 10 acres behind
Okay,
it.
alright, but he didn't show that other lot.
And that other lot has frontage on North Road.
Yeah, yep, there's
Oh,
frontage on
there,
North
that's-
Road and Barrett Road, but my driveway is on North Road.
Okay.
Here,
He didn't show, he didn't show that.
So then we'll wrap around them?
On that one.
It must wrap around them?
Here it is, here.
Okay,
We got
here it
big
is.
maps, let's see what we got.
So here's the barn right here. I already have, this is North Road, here's the barn lot. I have a driveway right here, the barn, I'm building a house in the barn. And then, there's also an entrance going out to Barrett, which I'm not doing
And
it.
this is the other lot.
And this, this is the other lot that the house is on that I'm selling. And that, like I said, that's how it was 2 years ago, I'm just putting it right back to what it was. Yep, sewer.
There we go.
Yeah, I am all set.
Here, guys, this is better. There you go.
It's actually a house now, it's just missing, I think it's just missing a,
Where's Larry? It's on the common land.
I think it's just missing,
10 acres. See, he's got,
Got an easement over there?
he's got another, he's got a road that comes in access to come down on Barrett.
yeah, you can see it go, but.
I don't know why we got that.
What?
Life goes on.
I know.
That was the other way around.
Whoever was buying the property, that just to let you know, like that, so you got them on. I'm working with the town. The assessor's office. No, right here. I'm not telling anybody if I'm doing it.
Oh, yeah, what do you really do? Right around doing drive-bys?
He's coming.
You kidding, Bob, all right?
He's coming.
You're in the village already.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy's gonna do that.
Who's doing that?
She's gonna, Tommy, the assessor's gonna do the village.
It's on me, I don't pay enough.
Chad, he's coming.
He's what?
Government.
Coming.
Oh, my God.
Well, he's on to the, now, I'll have the other half of the town meeting too.
Oh, my God.
Yep. Your wind front and influence people.
Yeah, this is the barn, he's gonna
Oh,
do
yeah.
the house.
We'll do that in a minute.
Yeah, he said that's where it was 2 years ago.
What do you know?
I just said there's a lot here with the solar farm going on right now. We'll have to go on.
Yeah,
Lot to look into.
absolutely.
Lot to look into.
Well, they're gonna, that's really gonna be, it's really gonna be kind of a show of power. We're not.
You started that already?
We'll start working with you.
Well, I got to pay a work on the house too.
What's that?
I got a lot of houses to do. Will you report to
And then CBA is waiting for us to go through the secret, so the CBA can act. Okay, that's basically, so right now, tonight is kind of informational, we've got a lot of stuff here. And you can just, they'll go through it, we can ask some questions, we've got some things they can work on to clarify between now and the next time. That doesn't mean we haven't gotten approval, but we'll try to get this through the secret of it.
So Frank, are they affiliated with the solar farms in the town of Lennox?
They may have one, I don't know whether they, I don't know about all of them. I don't know, well, we could ask.
Yeah, we'll ask them.
I don't think all of it, there's like 3 or 4 now.
Oh my God, yeah. There's one on North Main Street, Canal Street, is all the way over to Court Street.
Yeah, then there's one down at BB Bridge Road, big one down at BB.
Yeah.
And then there's one down off Main Street.
Yeah.
North Main Street. Right across from where, Brothers Construction, Eve Veronica,
Oh,
right across from their place. I mean, they put these up and then they look terrible. Those are town of Lennox.
that's the problem, that's
It's gotta be taken care of. You can't bring this stuff into end up just walking away from it.
All the other stuff.
Well, there's that, have you ever seen that one on 265 going north?
Oh, yeah. You go up to Old Forge.
Yeah.
We turn right there, go up to Holland.
All right, last call on the 2-lot subdivision for Mr. Schultz on North Road. North Rose East, 2-lot subdivision. Don't be confused, we've got a 4-lot or a 13-lot on the other side of the road. Okay? Last call? All right, not hearing anything here, can we have a motion to close that hearing?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, hearings are closed for this evening. The regular meeting for the Town of Sullivan Planning Board for the month of October 2022 will commence, and the minutes for the September meeting have been circulated to the board members, at which time we would entertain a motion to amend and or correct.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Or accept. Okay, any discussion? Not hearing any? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are accepted. Tonight's, agenda is I buried it in all the papers I got here. We'll deal with, the 2-lot subdivision, Mr. Schultz. Mr. Schultz is also with his professionals are here for, the one across the road, and we'll discuss that one. Mike Mastriano, I don't know if we're gonna see him or not.
He was supposed to, I don't know.
Yeah, I never had any communication with him, but,
He always walks in late, too, yeah.
pardon?
He walks in about 1:15.
Oh, we'll see, okay. Mike, and the, Shenango Solar Farm, and they're represented, and they're ready to go. Under new business, I have a Robin Adams, I don't see anybody. 2-lot
Well, there's a
subdivision,
thing right there that says she's gone to, Florida because there's flooding. It's on their file.
oh, well, she won't be here,
I don't think so.
so in other words, we won't discuss it.
That's too bad.
That's easy. And, the last one I had on here with a big question mark, came early, left early. Okay? All right, let's get on with it. Mr. Schultz. Come on up. Okay, we're dealing with the 2-lot. Whatever you wanna do. You wanna do that one too? We'll take anything.
Okay, we'll clean up the one from the public hearing and
That's
move right on to the bigger one.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. I don't think, does the board have any issues here at this point?
No.
All right. We've done the seeker.
Correct.
We're good with that?
Yep.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve this, 2-lot subdivision. And, all's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're good. And, whoever did this for us?
Yeah.
Okay. You gotta get us some, permanent, an acetate, something you can file. And then we can sign, we'll sign as many paper copies as you want. And
Larry,
what?
All the Mylars are on the table up front in the office.
Oh, for this?
Yeah.
This one? Oh, okay. Well, we'll sign them here in the next day or two, and, somebody will give you a call.
Okay.
You gotta give them 5. Okay. Technically, you got 60 days, that usually is not a problem.
I gave you Mylars on this one?
Yes.
I know I gave you Mylars on the 7, 13 one.
On the 2 one.
I did too? Okay, good. I didn't even know that.
Okay.
So we're gonna go on to the next.
Yeah, we're gonna go on, I wanna get clean up things here, okay? Yes. Not sure why we got these.
Yeah. Yeah, I just,
Yeah, so you got that.
I got it, I'm all set.
I just want to pull out and see what this is. Is it flood map? Yeah.
Flip things.
Flood map, yeah. I can buy flood insurance. I mean, really, dude, what happened? It's just in the room.
I'm trying to get you some.
You buy it, and then
You have, you have some,
limit on how much you
Yeah,
pay.
on the three,
No, the big one, keep it right.
yeah, I got the little one here.
And they have that.
You can have that one.
Anything that's cheap, it's
We got title page, anything else? Steve?
I know.
It's true.
I feel that way right now, really.
I got.
One go around the other side.
One big crossing. Remember back in the houses, they had somebody over there. Yeah.
Why don't you folks come on up?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Here you go, Chad. Okay. Go ahead,
All right.
all yours.
Okay. Continuing from last month, when we met, you asked for more information on how the wetlands overlaid the subdivision, so you had an idea of where the wetlands were in relation to the the proposed subdivision. You also asked for where the floodplain was, and also how we might be draining the property. So I put together 3 plans that address those 3 items. You also asked for letters from the town highway and the county highway for site distances. And I have these 2 right here. These are the 2 letters from those 2.
Okay. Are those the only ones?
Yeah, you can have these. I can get you more.
Oh, okay.
I have digital copies.
Okay.
So just to summarize those letters, neither the town nor the county had any issues with site distances.
You need to make copies?
No, I don't think so. We can just put these.
I need one, Frank.
Oh, yeah,
Mine.
we do.
Thanks.
Get us,
One of the recommendations I was gonna make is because there's so many lots here, and you've got this wetland area and that channel going through, I'm more comfortable with being able to go look at it. I don't know how the board feels about it,
okay.
just to cover all of our bases.
Take a look at it in terms of.
Just, like a multi-lot subdivision, we normally would have the consulting engineer for the town just examine what's in here and just see if there's any comments. they make.
Our concern, as we said, and as you and I have talked beside, our main concern is water and proper drainage and how we're gonna deal with that. And that's, I believe that's what you're gonna address here, today.
Yes.
And how that's gonna be dealt with.
Right. So, we know where the wetlands are. We know where the floodplain is, and a fair portion of this is in a floodplain. In terms of the drainage, I think the expectation is that anyone who would purchase a lot would be elevating the location of their house, and they'd be shedding the water off to the sides. And what we want to make sure is that they don't shed that water into a place where we don't want it or the neighbors don't want it. So this drainage plan basically identifies that the lot owners are responsible for the water that comes off their property, and they need to go to an existing conveyance or to the wetland in the back or to the drainage ditch. And they're responsible for their stormwater.
Okay, so in other words, the area in the middle just becomes basically a dump, right?
Yes.
It becomes a water dump, and then this ditch, I presume this should be flowing in a northwesterly direction.
That's correct.
And that would eventually, I don't know where it exits, it ends at this property. I mean, it doesn't end there, but I mean, your schematic does. But it's gotta go to the lake here.
That's correct.
At some point, right?
That's correct.
Now, do we have any kind of idea of what flow? I'm sorry. Oh. I don't know whether everybody wants those.
I don't know if everybody wants
I
one,
think.
but there's copies if you do.
You run a Ken.
Yeah.
Ken can have one.
Go ahead, where?
The drainage ditch does drain to that wetland, and the wetland does border the lake, and that's where it dumps into the lake. And you can see in an aerial how the drainage ditch carries right into the wetland, and it actually is carved through the wetland and extends all the way down to here. And
The marina area, the old marina.
the marina, yeah, the old marina. And that's
Does it actually enter the marina?
I don't believe so.
Yes,
Does it?
It does?
yes. That's the same, ditch waterway that Mike Mastriano didn't want to
That's what
put
I
a bridge
presume.
over.
Ah,
That's what I presume, yeah. Okay,
Yes, but
All right,
to respond to your comment about that being a dump, yes, it's a wetland. So that big green mass is not something that can be developed in the future.
No.
So yes, it's quite all right if we put the water there, or if the neighbors put the water there.
all right, so they're gonna have, who's responsible to make sure that when each one of these lots is developed, that that this plan is gonna be adhered to?
In terms of drainage?
Yeah.
Larry's. Wouldn't that fall under Larry's jurisdiction if you approve it? Yes.
okay.
Well, the bigger question, and we'll have to get input from Ken, is there's two ways to handle a project like this. I mean, sometimes you would have a stormwater, construction and maintenance agreement, but I don't see a lot of, are there any stormwater practices that are getting created and developed on this? Is there,
No.
there's no construction of any sort of
There's no-
channels or areas, but at the same time, development on the adjoining lots will have to be done in a manner, now, Ken's better on this than I am, it's gotta be done in a manner that won't adversely impact drainage on the site and off of the site. So the question is, do we wanna have a stormwater maintenance agreement that outlines what the processes will be for building houses on these lots, or how do we wanna deal with these things? This is all under your floodplain. So, you know, I recommended to the planning board that we have B&L just give us a comment letter back on the size of this project. It's a lot of lots, and we don't do stuff like this with this many lots in every application, so I think it does merit a little bit of review, and I think we'll give them a chance to do that, but there's that option, because if you're not building anything, I don't see the need for a drainage district necessarily in here. Maybe if there was a few phases, you might do that. I suppose you could do one, but again, if you're not proposing any stormwater practices or management or facilities that you have to maintain and take care of, I don't know, but I guess I wanna hear from B&L about what they think they're out of it. Or maybe it's gonna be restrictions on each lot that says, here's what you can do, so that you don't mess up all the wetlands and the drainage or the surrounding properties.
Okay, well, that's what it is.
Yeah, and then any potential lot grading or fill in the
Right.
under floodplain, needs to be addressed too on an individual basis.
Larry?
Yeah, the existing lot it's pretty flat. The very end of North Road, the road slopes towards Hitchcock, Hitchcock Road. And, there's these huge drainage, ditches in the front running all the way down Lakeport Road and all the way down Hitchcock Point Road. I know, I've seen it where it's flooded onto that very corner during flood stage. But that's not even his property, that's another lot owner. But everything flows from the end of North Road to that creek. And then it picks up again and flows from the creek down to Hitchcock Point Road, where it connects into another creek that goes to the marina, the little marina that leads out into the Chutnango Creek.
So according to your.
Yeah, I think we need to have B&L take a look at this.
My question is, here you got arrows pointing both directions for drainage. You got
Sure,
pointing
it's
south and pointing north. So where is it going when it gets down here? I mean, it's away from the lake. As Larry said, there's another creek down at the south end of this, where the water would flow into the creek.
Once you cross
Hitchcock Point Road, there's a very large creek that feeds Chittenango Creek.
Okay, but see, this is showing arrows going in both directions, that's my.
Yeah, that's just showing that the ditch runs
Oh,
along both sides.
okay, that's not the flow,
No,
okay.
no,
I
that's just the
was
ditch.
interpreting that as being the flow of the water.
Right, no.
So the flow will be going to the west and to the north, it's not coming back to the south?
That I'm not exactly sure, we weren't able to do topo on all of it, so. We do know the ditch runs all the way down the corner, runs all the
Okay.
way,
You don't
so at some point the water's gonna
Yeah,
go this
but
way.
I mean, it just, knowing that area, it's just
You don't know.
flowing back in that direction and where it's going.
Larry,
it's
say
going
first
to
person
lake.
buys this
Yeah.
the floodplain area, there
Okay,
can't be
what's the
any
elevation there?
structures in there, correct?
We don't know that.
257.
Can't put it in.
No, he didn't do it.
Floodway.
But anyways,
So.
there should
we're
be
not
some
in
kind of
floodway.
swale here in Maine,
Correct.
so that if you sell these lots,
We do
put the
have
first
a-
home buyer who builds a lot, and run a swale all the way down
I
across
would
the other
think,
property.
I just think there's gotta be
But
something.
it does sound like,
There's gotta
Matt,
be
you are
something
saying that when the
in
individual
the
builder
back,
comes in, they're
right?
gonna
Oh,
meld
the
the
property
bottom,
there, yeah.
they're gonna
Right,
build
because
it
what
up out of
if
the
the
ground.
first person that buys the lot, what's he gonna do? He's gonna pay to put the swale all the way down to the ditch?
Catch water and carry on
Probably
this way.
across the other property.
So, I mean,
He's gonna be building right down
some
the
people
road.
that going on
There
in
should be a-
documents like that, we-
a water
we-
right,
we-
a right of way.
go to the gun, we sue the drain.
Swale.
If you're gonna have an elevated building,
I think
isn't that
theoretically
gonna
you could try to
impede the flow from the backyard going toward the street, so it's gonna be draining onto the site.
Most likely they're gonna run to the
kind of
sides.
go around and carry the
Okay,
drain.
but I'm just saying,
And
Ultimately,
And then you
whoever
swale
buys
down
this
through
lot
both
will
sides.
drain it however they see fit. I mean, we don't know if the house will be here or there or whatever.
We just don't want the town to get phone calls going, hey, you approved a subdivision, now it's a big mess, I just wanna make sure everybody's on the same page.
We just wanna make sure that water isn't this way, doesn't go that way, it goes to where it currently goes, basically.
Yeah, so the question, so again, the question's gonna be, how do we make sure that happens going forward? And, in other towns, there might be a drainage district where it's all laid out, but some towns, you could try to do, I've never done one with this many lots, it's just a regular DEC approved, storm, like the one we're doing over with you guys, this is the stormwater maintenance agreement recorded and filed,
Could we have, when someone buys a lot and they are applying for a building permit, can they come in with a grading plan and show that they're managing the water?
That's a headache for the code officer, and then somebody's gotta be able to examine and make sure it works, I don't know if, I'm not putting a burden on Larry to check all that out.
I mean, to some degree, we don't know what they're gonna do at this point, so we could guess. But ultimately, whoever buys the lot is going to create it at that point. So they're gonna have to, I mean, that's the point at which they would know where the water's gonna go.
Well, then that would, like I said, that would either, it's gotta be something recorded and on file in the county clerk's office, so when a lot is sold, it gets picked up that these restrictions are in place, so the attorney tells the purchaser, hey, if you buy this, you need to know you're gonna be required to build it in this manner for the drainage portion of it, and then who's gonna inspect it and make sure it got done the right way and pay for those inspections for the individual lots?
Could they be brought, if someone buys that, could they come in front of the planning board and provide a grading plan and get site plan approval?
Is that something you guys wanna do? I mean, you haven't done that before, like other
No.
places I work, they do that, like town of Casanova, they'll do that.
You're
Town of
gonna
Montreal,
have,
they'll do it.
I think, for everything to work, everybody's gotta do the right thing. And that, whenever there's more than two of us gathered together, the right thing doesn't always happen. And so, what the town doesn't wanna have to do is they can't mitigate between the one neighbor says, well, there's my grading plan, here's my grading plan, but they're not really in sync. They gotta be in sync. Now up here you've got 3 lots that are really going to be abutting a 4th lot. That, if this isn't done correctly, this could be a nightmare, right? And this is one of the problem areas of that property, is that Hitchcock Point North Road corner. I think that you need to submit what you have to B&L, and we'll ask them to give us an opinion. Ken, do you want to say anything at this point, or?
Do you have topographic survey of this
We don't.
lot?
It's fairly flat, and it's so flat that perhaps we could simply cut a drainage ditch along this back line and then one along this back line. Well, maybe this one, I understand, I'm sorry, I'm pointing at where you talked about the 3 lots coming
Right.
together. I can see that would be an issue, a potential, issue. So, a simple, even if it's level, if you put in a drainage ditch, the water's going to come in the ditch.
Just wanna make sure like the individual lot owner doesn't get out there with their lands, at first, the original, the site development for that site doesn't create, like Frank says, a nightmare. And the reason I say this is they never come and fight with the neighbors. They come back here and yell at us, why did you approve this when you didn't have something in place that would, and you sort of know there's a potential for a drainage issue, so let's plan for it in advance, and I'm all for planning for it if, with a
If the
little bit
plan
of-
is there, then it's clear that they've gotta buy into that plan.
Yeah.
But it's very specific of what they have to do. And the other thing is gonna be a variable, is how much they build up each one of their lots. There's no, that could vary, you could have 13 variations of lot height, depending on what conditions or what people want, or.
So you might need to, again, Ken will be able to talk about it better, but the ones I've worked on that look like this, they do create easements between, on the lots, on the edges to carry the water, and actually in those cases, the easements go to the town, because then the town might be on the hook to take care of it if somebody does something. And
Or
I'm
you could
sure-
have an individual drainage district for
Yeah.
this particular
That's-
development.
I've formed hundreds of drainage districts that would
Yeah, you've
cover
done that.
something like this, but I'm not trying to create a problem for this applicant, I'm just trying to address a potential problem down the
Right.
road for the owners out here. And there might, between these two guys, they might figure it all out and come back and say, we got a solution, and here's
Right.
how we can do it. And I'm all for a good solution.
I agree.
Yeah.
I guess Port,
Yes.
weigh in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a solution here that meets the end here. I'm not sure what it is exactly.
Right, we don't want to
Yeah.
burden the town, but we want to.
Well, I mean, so people understand, a drainage district, doing that, these people would be contributing, these lot owners, or whoever they are, would be contributing to that district themselves, and that, it isn't the rest of the town and the taxpayers taking care of that. They've got their own issue, problem, and that's what they deal with.
Right,
It
right.
seems like there's too many variables that are here that could create this, gonna be problematic. I think we have to minimize some of these,
Right.
some kind of a plan, and that's where.
Yeah, it's always hard when you don't know exactly
know,
what
that's
is
the
going
problem,
to
there's a
happen.
million
how to plan
variables.
for it.
It's
The
all gonna
real
go bad.
concern to me is the outlet, a lot of this outlet is going on property that is not part of this.
Right, it's
Matt,
going
did you do
everywhere.
Cannon Crest, was that yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in some ways, this reminds me a little bit of Cannon Crest with some of those larger drainage easements we created back there. So, I don't know, I mean, there's solutions to this, I think people just gotta get together and sort it out.
But a good, I think the start is, we've got to have another set of eyes here for us. So I'd imagine, Ken, could you tell me what you need that you don't have, and,
Yeah.
we can, how we can formalize that, and then you can get some kind of a estimate here.
Yeah,
Which is fine.
I've got a general idea, but, certainly, like the environmental permitting folks to take a look at what's here in respect to DEC wetlands, floodplain and so on, and our drainage folks. Maybe it's a concept plan that further elaborates the intended drainage, minimum and maximum fill areas, that kind of thing.
Yeah, one thing I've done on previous projects is you would show where the drainage is gonna go, you grade it out, and then if the grading changes, when the person buys the lot and develops the lot, then they're responsible for updating the plan to show the grading in the new drainage plan. So,
Yeah, I think it does certainly need to be coordinated between each lot versus individual builders, developers that are just gonna push it and not really know where it's gonna go. Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Matt, do you have a map that shows the actual site dimensions of the individual lots? Was that something that was submitted last month? Do we have that?
The dimensions of each lot?
Yeah, because
They should be down in the corner.
No, well, okay, well, yeah, okay,
It's
I
got
mean,
the
if that's,
acreage and
yeah,
the
okay.
frontage and the lot depth.
Okay,
Um,
but I'm just, you need some of like different shapes, well, yeah, you can figure it out from there, I'm sure.
I can get you any dimensions you want.
Well, I mean, I just make sure that they're all suitable for zoning and, you know, meet the requirements.
Yeah, when this gets platted by the surveyor, he will put bearings and distances on each one of these lines.
150 is the minimum MR12, right? The road frontage?
No,
75,
75,
okay, so
but North,
what you have
North,
here-
North Road is a county road, so he's gotta have 150 on, but he could get by with 75 on his car.
Well, I think all of them meet the requirement
Here,
here.
lot one and lot two are different, but they have the same dimensions.
Yeah, that's lot 1 and 2? Yeah,
That, I guess that's what you're saying, right? That's a little bit extra, a little bit.
Three is
Kind of
Yeah,
fun,
yeah.
funny math there.
One of the lines is not parallel to the other, yeah.
There's clearly two different lots in the same.
Yeah, but the acreage is different.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I just took the perpendicular.
they did a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think we need the actual dimensions on each of the wall.
I'm comfortable with what.
I mean, I'm just thinking in the sense that somebody looks at it as a buyer and they'll want, you know.
Well, they should be, this will be the sign, this will be the sign there.
Well, it's just
When he
the
gets
grading
everything
map,
on,
the other ones, you
yeah.
know, site map and such.
Yeah, the survey, when he does the plat, he'll have all the dimensions, every line, every.
Right.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so you're gonna work this out?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
that part?
talk to Ken, we'll figure out exactly what we're gonna show on the map for drainage, and,
Yeah. I just think we need some certainty here,
Both lots.
yeah. Because I can see if something goes back to town, the town's gonna go,
if we had,
where do you want us to go? I mean, we can't,
if we had grades on this property,
yeah,
then I would grade it all out and we'd be good. But it's so flat that
can't, yeah.
I'd be making up
Well,
contours.
not unless you put jacks on one end, I guess.
Matt, you can call me tomorrow, we can talk about the
Tip it up to the
overall
lake.
process when you have time.
Okay,
Okay.
whatever you don't want, folks.
One question, do we, just in terms of, speeding things along, when do you schedule the public hearing? Do you have to have all this worked out before you schedule the public hearing?
Well, we gotta do seeker before we schedule. This board, under state law, we try to complete seeker before we schedule public hearings. So the question, because of the drainage thing, are we comfortable doing, I don't know, I don't think it's gonna be a positive declaration, to be honest with you, but I don't know, we're getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit. or something like that.
That's something that B and L will help us with, as far as that goes, and then we feel more secure with that. I would think that maybe, hopefully, if things move along, maybe by next month, we'd be able to schedule that hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Even with wetlands, I don't see it.
But we don't know a lot of that right now.
That's why I was just asking for, just.
See you, man.
Okay, what else do we got here? You guys have everything you want or
Yep,
don't
yep.
want?
Yeah, we have more than-
I wanna get that.
More than we want.
What about you? You want to keep those? You can if you want. All right.
If somebody wants to give one away, Ken will pay for that.
Yeah.
Everybody-
Yeah,
I got you.
You gotta beat me to it.
So generous.
I had mine up first.
So if I, how do you keep it?
And I don't know if there's something that's older than this.
Okay, so we have more, we have more than with that, put them right on top of that. Okay, next amp. All yours, sir, and Miss.
Good evening.
Ms. Good evening.
Travis Mitchell with Environmental Design Partnership, here with live episode of Next Amp. Just give you a quick, that little background. I think we were last year in August, so we started with your board, I think April-ish, with a concept plan and introducing the project. You remember this one has this one also needs a zoning variance, and so we stepped through enough with your board to give you a flavor for it, answer some questions, and then we made a submittal to
the ZBA, whom we saw after you in August, and they asked some detailed questions on some things, and we had received a comment letter from B&L in July, but we're kind of holding on answering that because it really needed development of detailed plans in order to do it. But based on the questions from the zoning board, we decided to push that forward. It took us a little bit of time to get the detailed plans together, which is why we skipped a month, so now it's October. We did get those put together and submitted to you along with a point-by-point response to the initial B&L comment letter. And then just last week, we got together with the town attorney, with B&L, Mr. Park, and Mr. Dufree to kind of review where things are at and the status going forward. And I don't think you can really take any action here tonight, but we thought we'd just give you an update on some of the information that was submitted and kind of let you know where we think we're headed from here. So with that, if there are no questions to start with, I'll just kind of jump in. Remember, this is a 270 or so acre parcel on Lakeport Road. We are proposing a 3 megawatt AC, 3.5, I guess it is, solar AC solar farm. This is Lakeport here. There's a Smith Bridge Road here. The layout that you've got in the big 20-some sheet plan set is exactly what we've been looking at for the last couple months. Same layout, it just provides additional levels of detail relative to stormwater, how the road's going to be constructed, all the key details that we need for construction level drawing. It's about 16 acres of fenced area, access road that comes in here. That access road follows an existing farm track, so we're following existing disturbance on that farm track. Over 500 feet off of Lakeport Road, about 500 feet from the neighboring parcel just under, and 300 or so from the back. So we far exceed all the setback requirements. We've got some central inverter electrical equipment here. The blue areas represent stormwater management down along the access road. With a solar project of this type, we provide stormwater management for the impervious areas that are the access road and the equipment pads. The panels themselves, because of the spacing of them, they're spaced far enough apart that they're not considered impervious. The idea is that there's enough green area between them that the water runs off and across the green area, and they don't. There's no stormwater management per se necessary for those. So one of the comments was looking for a glare study. There's some nifty software available these days specific to solar projects that you can run glare studies on. We did that, and there's no glare predicted here. We looked at a receptor point in the mobile home park to the north, and then a driver driving along Lakeport Road, both north and west, and glare. Another sensitive subject that's always discussed on solar is visual impacts. Specifically, we've submitted, I think, some photos before of a view from within the mobile home park. But this is something that we talked about last week a little bit further. So we updated our visual impact assessment. We'll get you an updated copy. But this is that view from the mobile home park. We call it receptor 1, looking to the south into the array. And this is, if you could see the array, if the trees weren't there, this is where it would line up. But it's about 15 feet over the hill, and it's pretty dense. It's 500 feet from the end of that road to the array, and about 250 feet of vegetation before you get to the array. So I know a lot of that's deciduous, and we're going to be here for a few more months, so we'll take some pictures during the winter too to show you that I don't believe you're going to be able to see it. We also took a whole number of pictures on the site. One of those is right here, looking back that way, and that's this photo here, just to give you a sense for just how dense that scrub brush is in there. The second receptor point here is at the end of Smith Bridge Road, looking out toward that array. Again, this is the existing condition right at that intersection. There's where our array would look like. It's again 500 feet out into the field, and we have developed what we think is a reasonable planting plan for something like this. It ends up being about a 20-foot wide buffer with a mix of some deciduous and some evergreen plantings in it.
this is what it looks like on day one of the planting. So it's a lot of smaller stuff, some larger stuff. It's eventually meant to mimic a hedgerow. And then 5 years in, you can see it's grown up enough that it obscures the array. We did send the kind of our suggested plantings to the Army Corps of Engineers to get their feedback on it. They came back with some feedback basically mimicking what we had suggested. We also like to send these local soil and water conservation districts, which we did, just to see if they have any feedback. We haven't received any yet, but if we do receive any, we can make adjustments as necessary. The plans, I'm not sure your set has it, but they will going forward. Show a little bit more detail of that planting buffer. Again, here's Lake Corp, here's Smith Ridge, here's our array. This is that planting buffer that I just showed. It's again 20 feet wide, about 620 feet long, and it's got, what we do is we show the buffer and then show a typical planting along through the buffer, and so that's what, there's a sheet in the plan set that shows that planting plan. If we take a look at receptor 3, that's right at the array entrance. This is what it looks like now, and then this is what it looks like on day one of the solar farm installation and the planting, and then this is what it looks like 5 years in.
Can you talk just a quick second about the maintenance of the plants that you install? Like,
sure.
Like a lot of the approvals that I've done, you say this is gonna be our first big solar one we've had here? Yeah.
If it gets to
Real.
fruition, if it gets to fruition, it'll be our first.
So anyway, well, the other ones I've done, we've asked for some
Otherwise,
protections to make
they're
sure
not
the stuff
in the-
lives. Whether it's, the evergreens give out on us, or maybe the deer just wipe out some of the other stuff. I mean,
That's pretty.
can you make a proposal on that?
Sure, it's pretty common to see a 1 year, year over year look at it to evaluate it, make sure that the plants aren't dying, and if they are, it's going to replace. So it's pretty typical. We can take a look at that.
In just a comment. I see, visual or vegetative screenings and stuff. Yeah, they take some time and everything, and they're live plants, hopefully all viable, but that doesn't always get the case. Some have to be replaced. But I've seen some where I thought was quite effective is that they staggered them like 2 rows, no matter what your species, it could be that if the one in the front dies, the one in the back, the next 2 in the back kind of cover the whole, you know what I mean? There never is a gap if something happens,
And then kind of the idea here,
Yeah,
it's a 20-foot wide buffer, but there's a lot of different species in there, so you hope that some go better
Right.
than others, and then, we've got some notes.
You're
on
hedging
here.
your bet with different species, and okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of the idea, and then, if the local landscaper, wants to propose something along the same line, but a little bit different, we can take a look at that also.
Okay.
Yeah, good point.
What's the road, that gonna be a stone road? or-
Stone, yeah, it doesn't show the best.
What's the maintenance, how often do you gotta get back there?
So after construction, it's a few times a year. It's not often, a couple times a year for mowing the grass, and then if there's any panel maintenance that has to happen, but it's once a month would be a lot. So then just the last point I wanted to show you is down a little bit further south on Lake Port, Sector 4, we call it. This is enough of an elevation change, it's far enough away through those existing hedgerows that you can't see it from there. So really from a visual perspective, it's these points right from just a hair north of Smith Ridge to about the farmhouse where it'll really show.
I forgot, and I apologize. Battery systems here in Novak. Thank you.
So just wanted to give you some background. There's quite a bit of discussion on this project as far as the wetlands go. So this is when we started this project in early 2021. This is what the mapped Army Corps wetlands are. Of course, we have to do a site-specific evaluation, but mapped wetlands show the lower half of the property have, some Army Corps and some DEC wetlands, and we've got this drainage channel through here to the east. And we started putting these plans together and thought we were in pretty good shape, based on that initial evaluation. We got out there and did our wetland delineation, and while they're not mapped Army Corps wetlands, they do meet the Army Corps criteria, so they are Army Corps wetlands, we believe. And then at the end of last year, the town changed their regulations for solar in wetland areas, which is what causes us the need for the variance. We can talk about it further, but we really do think this is the ideal location on this property and a good location in general for this application. More of a discussion with the zoning board, but we'd certainly take it up with your board if you'd like. Somebody, I think it was Mr. Durfee that asked what that field looked like now. Maybe it was you, Mr. Park, I don't remember, but this is standing about where the array is, looking into that field now. And there was another question that's come up as far as prime farmland, right? I mean, we don't want the solar farm in prime farmland. We don't want it we don't want to take down trees. We don't want, so where do we put it, right? So, sorry. Okay.
You gonna smash that like Tom Brady did?
I don't know, not yet.
He's not from Boston.
That's
Trust me.
right.
I do. You're gonna smash it like Tom Brady did.
Well, sorry, you have to give me a second.
Choose to update.
It shows to, me turned it sideways.
So Ken, this is another one that maybe, did Rebecca, do we know, we gotta make sure Rebecca gets the Ag and Markets comment letter, but she's working on this one, right?
Right.
Just wanna make sure she gets it.
So the board knows there is a lady,
Taylor has it.
there's a lady that's been designated by P&L as, that's her specialty. And she is looking at this from an environmental standpoint to give us a report back so that we can work on the seeker, okay? We've already passed the time period, but that's just what we're waiting for. That we are the lead agency. No one can test this.
So this shows prime farmland if drained in kind of a bluish color, prime farmland in the purple and not prime in the pink. I think Mr. Durfee's got some farming background, and I think his opinion is none of this is prime farmland, which I think he's probably right. Remember, this is like 50,000 foot view from Ag and Markets, and I mean, just the fact that a good portion of it's wetland, I think, speaks to the fact that it's not prime. This, you can see the field areas here that are being farmed in those areas there. Just a couple other graphics related to wetlands. This is something we showed the zoning board. This is, it illustrates how challenging the 1,000-foot separation is to the wetland. This is the northern end of the town of Sullivan outlined in red here. In the white are all the mapped Army Corps wetlands. So these are only mapped wetlands. Like on this site, we found wetlands that weren't mapped. If we apply the 1,000-foot buffer to those mapped wetlands, that's what everything north of Chittenden looks like. There's no area left.
How far from the solar panels is the canal, the creek, the commission?
So this is the canal here, I assume you mean.
Yeah.
Right, so it's roughly 325 feet to that water body. So just last slide, and we'll jump into questions. Just kind of a summary. Initial review with your board. You did in August. Start coordinated review. Declare your intent for lead agency, which nobody objected to it. We responded to B&L comments. Rebecca came back with a few additional comments based on our meeting last week, which our intention is to respond to those so that she has everything necessary to hopefully get your board some more feedback for your next meeting, so that we're in a position that some action could be taken if you desire. Remember, the ZBA can't do anything They've got a public hearing open that will remain open, but they can't take action until your board takes action on secret. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. That's all I got. Questions, comments?
Have you seen the ag and markets?
Yeah, I hadn't seen it before tonight. It looks, I mean, we see quite a bit of those. It looks similar to what we're seeing out of them these days. I think their concern over prime farmland, when they see, you know, the mapped wetland and the actual conditions out there, I think that concern will go away. Because I think, again, on this site, I think we've done our best to avoid the area that's actively being farmed. If you looked at that picture, there's no farming going on where the solar array is proposed, and I don't think there's any such thing as a low quality wetland, but it's not a wetland that can't be worked in for an application like this. And I think the fact that the Army Corps recognizes that, you know, solar panels themselves are not considered wetland disturbance, you know, lends itself to the fact that this can be done in that area.
What I found, I again, just, we were pouring through it too, just
Sure.
very quickly, and,
Yep.
you know, and when they did come up with this prime farmland, which I personally, I have to disagree with, but,
Well, but remember, so
the way they categorize that.
when they consider something prime farmland, they haven't taken a specific look at this site, right? They're going on USGS mapped soil categories, and that the type of soil category that's out here is, you know, is typically prime farmland. But I think if you took a look, you know,
Can you quickly, could you just do that? I mean, you can lift that from the county soil, the county soils map.
But that is how this is done. That is how this is generated. But I think if you took a farmer out there, it's not prime farmland. And I think if you took ag and markets out there, they would agree. But you know, it's not practical for them to come out to every site like that. So let me.
Well, I'm saying if that's what's in right, I mean,
So here's what happens, yeah, so here's what happens from here. So what that letter from Ag and Market says is, hey, you know, don't forget, these guys they're in an ag district and they need a notice of intent. And so one of the discussions that we had last week, as we talked about the next step, is to put together that notice of intent. So that will be done before we're back before this board at the next meeting. And so there'll be follow-up with Ag and Markets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Board, do you have any other questions at this point? So is everybody clear where they've gone through the site plan, we've got the plans, and there's a few details that they're still fleshing out on that, but we're basically waiting for B&L and Ms. Midas to come back, who's the guru on the environmental aspects of these projects. And she's evaluating what they have, give us some comments so that we can do our duty as a lead agency. And we will get through that. Hopefully we will get to a conclusion that can be transmitted properly to the ZBA, and then the ZBA will be in a position to act on their variance request. And then, having done that, and depending on how that turns out, what the pathway will be to come back to us and redo the site plan and the instructions.
We need to do our homework.
Yeah.
Go through it.
Right, we go through that, but in the meantime, right now, we're waiting for some expert advice here.
On kind of a personal note, because if you're familiar with the solar farm over on Mandalay Center Road, just right off of Route 5, on the right-hand side.
Right in town of
Just
Manly.
just in town of Manly, it's just over the
I would
county
think
line.
by the way they react, no.
Well, and you know, the reason why I bring it up is that power poles, and I saw that photo that you had, showed that you have the high power poles there. People have said to me, well, that's a visual impact as well. Is there any way,
And they look terrible, and there's very nice houses across the street.
Right by
the road too.
Yeah, they're
right up front.
There's 7, and they're the lousiest poles you could buy.
It almost
They're
looked
all
like it was a
broken.
temporary solution.
Yes,
It's a
that-
terrible.
yeah.
It looked like a temporary solution.
And you're bringing these into the neighborhood, and they look terrible.
I'll drive by and look into that. The utility poles here are dictated by the utility. So once we have site plan approval, if we get site plan approval, the way this process works is then we submit that to the utility. They already have issued us an interconnection agreement, but that's the process, is they've approved our current plan. Once we finalize all these other items, we pay the interconnection agreement in full, then they come out and do a utility site visit and specify the exact poles and everything.
Okay, just back up. So basically, the pole connection is because of the utility.
Is dictated by
That's
the
what
utility.
that's what you're seeing, and I mean,
Exactly.
see today. Why isn't it an underground?
Yeah.
Yeah, why isn't it a
Yeah,
duct
why
bank up
isn't
to
it?
the first, to the pole at the right of way where they connect into?
So we do use
Okay.
underground utility to the maximum point that we can, which is the equipment carrying poles. So then it goes above ground and then is the equipment carrying poles, and they need different poles for different functions. You have in my layman terms, I could have one of our power engineers speak very technically about this, but you have the binder box on one, you have the on-off switch on one.
So you have
And they
no
need-
control of that, in other
That's
words.
that.
It's by the utility.
Everything else is
standard.
controlled
That's what I
inside
thought.
Who would that
That's a
be?
shame.
Would that be National Grid?
Yes.
That'd be great.
Well, I don't understand that because we've done a lot of work with National Grid and they've put switch gears on the ground, they've put terminals on the ground for all underground writing. And I don't understand why they have to have 7 poles go out to the pole at the right of way off the private property, except it's cheaper to do it that way.
Right, I'm not familiar with that project that you had just mentioned, I can look into it and see if it's.
Well, in the town of Lennox, the other solar farms, they're all the same.
Mhm.
And they put greenery in front of it by the road, but now the weeds are higher than what the pine trees are.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, because you do all this planning,
Right, and.
and look at that rendering, that those poles
Yeah,
just
the
pop up.
features that we do have
The
control
most obvious
over,
thing is you have no control.
the fixed knot, farm fence, the plantings, all of that we do have control over, we really
I
try
know.
to make nice, but it is a public
Visual.
utility.
And they're so close together too, I mean, they're, you know,
There's gotta be-
along 31, or
There's a
along,
better way to do it.
yeah.
There's gotta be more
notice
work
that
on
project
this
over there.
facing
You don't see it until you get up near the road.
Out
That's
back
what you
is
start
Yeah,
seeing.
exactly.
They don't bring them in from
What you're
way back
bringing
where
up to the
where
road.
the panels are.
Very visual.
Doesn't look very nice.
So that had to be something grid does. All right. Anything else?
Part of your analysis under seeker is visual impact, so you take that into consideration as you work your way through the project.
I mean, just that, if, when you go down there,
You'll see it.
you won't miss it. Because I remember the first time I drove by there, I spotted them right away. And you know, I've had people say to me, you know, well, we can't have it down
It
Lakeport
looked
Road.
like a
we have those
temporary
poles."
solution when I
That's what
was
John
there.
asked me, he goes, it's temporary.
It's temporary, it can't be real.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's it, it looks so bad, it can't be the real.
Yeah.
It looks
Really bad.
terrible.
There's letters to the editor all the time in the local.
Is that
paper.
about that?
They're very upset about
It's
it.
a real shame that that looks nice.
I mean, there's some nice homes across the streets.
And there's nice view in that area too. you know.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe we should contact the planner at National Grid.
Well said, they got the reason, whatever it is. But, move National
It's
Grid
not
is
cheaper
not
to
an
go aerial
easy
than
task.
it does
Yeah,
underground.
it's cost, brother.
Try to get them to do a job for you.
And nobody's objecting, it's costing them, just doing it.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other questions of these folks? Somebody's gotta get back to
Boston.
distances away. Get them out of here.
is a month gonna be enough time to review all of this?
ZBA next Thursday, right? I'll see you there.
Thanks for the time.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you very much.
you're welcome, thank you, Jim. Yep.
So Ken's gonna send us, it's gotta send us a proposal. No, we don't have proposals for this one, right? Yeah, we're good, but on.
Yeah, they've already been
On the
communicated.
other one, Ken's gotta give a little
That's-
letter saying this is gonna take the help.
Right,
Work with Matt Greenberg on that drainage issue. for
Right.
That last one.
right.
I do think it's very important that we make sure we get that drainage right on that one, because I just think we'll get complaints if it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, right, you can't leave it like that.
No, I agree, I agree.
The Butterfield and Roxbury Road developments all have drainage
I mean, what if the one guy, the first person buys a lot, he's got to pay to put the swale all the way down the back to where the big.
They got
ditch
it,
is?
well, the thing is, there's no, they're gonna have to,
Install that first.
they're probably gonna end up putting in some infrastructure
It might be a district, I don't know.
to set that up. They're gonna have to get the drainage that these homeowners and whatever you come up with is gonna have to tie into somewhere else,
Right.
somewhere along the line.
Lots in that one.
One section there.
Right.
A lot of lots.
Restrictions on fill and floodplain.
Floodway is a no-no.
We can't.
Right, but even in a floodplain, I believe.
Flood,
You have to demonstrate that if you're putting a structure in it, it's not going to displace water somewhere else, so that's, again, I gotta talk.
Ken,
Yeah.
maybe there ought to be notes added to the maps that call all that kind of, all these things out, so that anybody that's gonna examine the map, like, wait a minute, this is what's gonna happen. And then maybe we gotta have covenants or whatever, I don't know yet.
that's what Matt had suggested to me, well, we'll do this all with notes, well, okay.
Well, but notes are only as good as a person keeping an eye on. I think it should be.
I think you gotta have something on the maps, you gotta something.
What about as far as putting a foundation or putting a basement in
it's
there?
up
Is
to
that
the
gonna be just
developer.
crawl space or whatever? I mean, is that gonna displace water or cause issues?
Agree.
When you build in a floodplain, there's 6 or 7 different ways to do it.
Mhm.
You can elevate it, but the least disturbing that you can do is an existing grade, you build the foundation, and then you backfill inside the structure to elevate your crawl space or basement, so that it's only this much above
Floodplain,
and then your house comes out of the floodplain,
out of the ground.
but you're not disturbing the exterior. Or you can raise, like Mike Mastriano did, he just brought in a lot of fill.
Right, the developer.
Yeah.
It's up to the developer to do the drainage.
Okay, let's see where we go. You good?
Good. Did Rebecca give you a time frame on comment response, or I'll call it?
No, it's okay, and we had a nice meeting, really long meeting last Thursday, I forget what day it
Thursday,
was.
yeah.
And then she knew what was going on, and, you know, just remind her, she probably knows you're here.
And she said you would.
Yeah.
If she delegated,
That, yeah.
delegate it up.
Huh?
She delegated it up.
Yeah.
She
Who's the
she
boss
said-
over
She
there?
said, I won't be there, but Ken probably will. Why, I wasn't surprised when I saw you. Okay, good, very good. Do we have anything else, Counselor, that you know of?
No.
We need to do a meeting?
I'm good for tonight.
Okay, can we, have a motion then to close this meeting? Just
Sure.
about ready for the first pitch.
Getting the
Okay,
car in time to hear Judge hit his home run.
Any
That's,
discussion? All right, all in favor?
Who seconded?
I did. Sharon did, I did.
Here, opposed?